Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear brothers and sisters, have you ever felt that deep calling within your soul, like a whisper from Allah, guiding you towards something monumental, something you couldn't quite understand at the time but felt with all your being? This feeling is not by accident. It is the divine communication from Allah, who speaks to us in ways that often transcend our understanding. Allah's voice is louder than any noise in this world. It calls us, directs us, and prepares us for something greater than we can imagine. In this video, we will explore how Allah speaks clearly, even in the quietest moments, how His signs, His guidance, and His chosen ones are brought into our lives with unmistakable clarity. But here's the question that keeps many of us wondering: what does it truly mean to be chosen? And how can we be certain when that moment of divine confirmation arrives? Through this journey, we will uncover the powerful truth that Allah's plan unfolds in ways we may not always expect. But when it happens, it transforms everything. The person chosen to bring this confirmation into your life may be closer than you think, and the impact they will have is beyond comprehension. Stay with me as we unveil these divine signs together. The power of the divine word, Allah the Almighty, does not just speak to us through audible words or books. His words transcend forms and manifest themselves in the most subtle signs of daily life. In the Quran, Allah reminds us that His signs are all around us, in the heavens, on the earth, in the events of nature, and in the circumstances that unfold in our lives. The beauty of creation itself is a form of divine communication. Every sunset, every breath of air, every star that shines in the sky reminds us of His constant presence. Allah speaks to our hearts, often without using words, but through the deep conviction that He arouses in us. Its signs are not always evident to the eye, but they are visible to those who seek with a sincere heart. The Quran teaches us that the signs of Allah are visible in the heavens and on the earth, Quran 45:3, and that it is crucial to pay attention to these signs. Allah uses these moments to guide us, to open our eyes to truths that we would never have imagined on our own. Many people have had profound experiences of divine guidance, where they felt a powerful and comforting presence without seeing or hearing, but feeling deeply in their hearts that it was from Him. A person, after years of spiritual search, saw his life transformed by a simple meeting with a person who spoke to him about divine signs, a message that he had been looking for all his life. Another, in a moment of great distress, had a sudden revelation while walking in nature, feeling a deep peace that seemed to emanate from every tree, from every sound, reminding her that everything in the universe is a reflection of the wisdom of Allah. Allah speaks in ways that are louder than words, through the quiet whispers of our hearts, and through the profound experiences that shape our lives. It is in these quiet moments, in these small details, that we can hear His voice. And although we cannot always understand the meaning of every experience, we must trust that His wisdom is infinite and that everything has a divine purpose. The Quran reminds us in the following verse: "Indeed, Allah is the best of planners." Quran 3:54. This verse invites us to trust in the divine plan, to understand that every event, every sign, and every difficult moment is part of preparation for something much greater. So, every day, through small signs and big revelations, Allah speaks to us. We must be attentive, open, and ready to hear, because often His voice is more subtle than we imagine. Person's choice. In Allah's infinite wisdom, certain individuals are chosen to carry out specific divine missions. Being chosen by Allah does not necessarily mean receiving immediate or public recognition, but rather, it translates into a deep spiritual calling, an inner feeling that one has a role to play in the great divine design. It goes beyond titles or outward appearances. It is an invisible but clear designation to accomplish a task that only Allah knows perfectly well. Being chosen does not mean that the person has any apparent superiority over others. On the contrary, many religious figures and believers throughout history have had this experience in circumstances of doubt, inner struggle, and sometimes even incomprehension. In the Quran, Allah says, "And Allah chose Adam, Noah, the family of Abraham, and the family of Imran, above the worlds." Quran 3:33. These characters were chosen for specific missions, and although their challenges were great, their faith in Allah allowed them to overcome adversity and accomplish their divine missions. Take the example of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, a man who did not see himself as the prophet, but who received the call of Gabriel, in the cave of Hira. This moment, at the beginning, was not recognized by everyone as a clear divine mission. But as the signs accumulated, divine confirmation came, not only through the revelations he received, but also through the transformation of the entire society that followed. Likewise, there are many believers who have felt this intimate, silent calling, but have needed time and faith to fully understand their role in Allah's plan. Being chosen by Allah for a divine mission can manifest itself in many ways, through a deep intuition, a feeling of responsibility, or even a significant spiritual experience. Sometimes the chosen person may even doubt his or her own ability to accomplish this mission, as we see in the case of many prophets, who, before receiving divine confirmation, were filled with questions and uncertainties. They did not always feel up to the tasks that Allah had assigned to them. This reminds us of an essential point. Divine confirmation, the clear sign that we have indeed been chosen, does not always come at the beginning. It is only with time and through trials that we begin to see how each step brings us closer to our mission. As the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "The strong is not the one who overcomes another, but the one who controls his anger." Sahih al-Bukhari. This shows us that the true strength of the chosen person lies in their ability to follow the path of Allah, even when the path seems uncertain. So the person chosen by Allah may not be immediately recognized by those around him, but Allah, in His wisdom, confirms the role of that person at the appropriate time. What seems vague today will be clearly revealed tomorrow, and the divine mission will be accomplished in all its splendor, like a ripe fruit reaching full maturity. Signs of confirmation. The signs of divine confirmation are never left to chance. They are silent messengers, subtle clues that only a pure heart, an attentive mind, and unwavering faith can discern. But then, how do you know that the signs are clear? When do we really receive this divine confirmation? The one that tells us that we are ready to fulfill our destiny and fulfill the mission assigned to us? The answer lies in a series of divine signs that arise in the lives of believers. Clear and revealing dreams. One of the first ways Allah confirms our path to us is through dreams. In the Quran, we learn that dreams can be a direct means of divine communication. The Prophet Abraham, saw in a dream that he had to sacrifice his son Ishmael, an act which was a test of his faith and obedience to Allah. Quran 37:102. This example shows that dreams can carry powerful messages and clear divine confirmations. Many believers throughout history have reported dreams that changed the course of their lives, leading them to major spiritual decisions or directing them towards specific actions they needed to take. Synchronous events. Another way Allah confirms His will is through synchronous events, which some sometimes call divine coincidences. These moments are characterized by a perfect convergence of circumstances, where everything seems to fall into place for you, sometimes in an inexplicable way. These events are never just random, but are clear signs that one is on the right path. An individual could, for example, meet a person who provides answers to deep questions that he or she had asked for a long time, or see a situation miraculously resolved after months of uncertainty. These signs are like beacons placed by Allah to confirm that we are indeed on the path that He has traced for us. A contemporary example of this kind of sign is that of many people who converted to Islam. Many report experiencing events in their lives, such as chance encounters with believers or spiritual situations where they felt an inexplicable peace. These events occurred at specific times in their lives, as a divine call confirming to them that their hearts were ready to receive divine guidance. Changes in spiritual or personal life. Another clear sign of divine confirmation is manifested by notable changes in an individual's spiritual or personal life. Sometimes, confirmation comes not in the form of external events, but through deep internal transformations. It may be new directions in prayer, a renewal in spiritual connection, or a burning desire to change one's life to become closer to Allah. In the Quran, Allah tells us, "Indeed, Allah does not change the condition of a people until they change what is in themselves." Quran 13:11. This verse reminds us that the signs of divine confirmation are often internal and manifest through a transformation from within, a renewal of the heart, a desire to rise spiritually. Individuals who have received divine confirmations often report a feeling of inner peace that comes over them just before making a big decision, embarking on a mission, or being entrusted with an important task. This peace is a sign that Allah has enlightened their hearts and granted them the confirmation they were seeking. Historical and contemporary examples. Historically, the greatest examples of divine confirmations before action come from prophets and pure believers. Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, had clear revelations from Allah during the period of revelation. Before each great action he was to undertake, he received clear and direct signs which reinforced his certainty and prepared him to accomplish the divine mission entrusted to him. Likewise, many of the Prophet's companions experienced these signs before going to war or undertaking important journeys. In the contemporary world, many believers report moments of divine confirmation in their spiritual lives. For example, a person who, after years of spiritual search, receives a series of signs that confirm their religious vocation, whether through a verse that they read in the Quran or a significant event in their life. Divine confirmation through patience and faith. The Quran reminds us in the following verse, "And Allah is the best of planners." Quran 3:54. This verse reminds us that divine confirmation, although it may be expected, always comes when Allah knows we are ready to receive His blessings. Patience, faith, and perseverance are the keys to recognizing these signs when the time is right. And even if these signs are not always visible immediately, Allah, in His infinite wisdom, ensures that everything falls into place at the right time. So the signs of divine confirmation are not always obvious, but when they come, they bring an unshakable inner certainty and deep spiritual peace, guiding us on the path that Allah has laid out for us. Signs can manifest in many forms: dreams, coincidences, spiritual or personal events. But they are always there to confirm that the divine mission that we must accomplish is indeed underway. The time of the call. There is a time in a believer's life when everything aligns, a moment when each element of his existence finally makes sense, where the pieces of the divine puzzle fall into place with striking clarity. This moment is when the divine call manifests itself, where the person chosen by Allah receives the necessary confirmation to accomplish the mission assigned to him. It is not a moment when we hear clear and audible words, but rather a moment when we feel deeply, deep within ourselves, that we are ready to respond to a spiritual call greater than ourselves. Spiritual preparation before the call. Before this call manifests, there is a long process of spiritual preparation. Allah, in His infinite wisdom, always prepares whomever He chooses to accomplish His will. This preparation can be subtle and sometimes painful, as it involves purification of the soul, trials, and moments of doubt. But it is precisely through these trials that the believer is shaped to become an instrument of the divine will. During this period of preparation, the chosen person may not immediately feel the calling, but they are led through a path that brings them closer to their mission. These may be moments of solitude, intense spiritual quest, or chance encounters with people who play a key role in understanding one's life purpose. Faith and patience are tested. Preparing the soul to receive the call often requires sacrifice and deep trust in Allah, even when the path seems unclear or difficult to understand. Perfect alignment. There is a specific moment when everything aligns perfectly. A moment when the chosen person is in a spiritual state where they are ready to accomplish what Allah has prepared them for. This moment can come suddenly, sometimes after years of uncertainty, or through a series of signs that suddenly become clear. The divine call is then heard not with words, but through an inner clarity and a certainty that arises from the depths of the heart. This moment is a powerful revelation, a call to action. It is at this moment that we become aware of the divine mission and that we find the strength to get moving. The call is often confirmed by external signs, opportunities that suddenly present themselves, a newfound inner peace, or an alignment of events that seem to indicate that the time has come. Patience and faith in the process. It is essential to understand that this moment of confirmation does not arrive until the chosen person has gone through trials and demonstrated unwavering patience. Faith in Allah and trust in His plan are crucial elements throughout this period. It is easy to become discouraged, to lose hope, but it is precisely through this faith and this patience that we prepare to receive the call. Allah teaches us in the Quran, so be patient. Indeed, the promise of Allah is truth. Quran 30:60. This verse reminds us that Allah's promise is infallible and that although the wait may be long and difficult, what has been promised will come to pass in due time. Patience is a virtue that the believer must cultivate, not only to face times of difficulty, but also to prepare for receiving this divine call. By standing firm in faith and being ready to answer the call as it arises, we align ourselves with God's plan, ready to accomplish what we have been called to do. The moment when the divine call is heard is a sacred and powerful moment. It is a confirmation of our mission and a sign that we have been chosen to accomplish a task beyond our immediate understanding. It is a moment when everything that has come before makes sense, and when we can finally move forward with confidence, guided by the light of Allah's will. The impact of confirmation. When a person chosen by Allah receives divine confirmation, he does not go back. She is transformed, profoundly modified by the spiritual experience she has had. This moment of clarity and certainty not only affects the individual, but also has a deep and far-reaching impact on those around them. When the chosen one receives their clear confirmation, they are no longer the same. They become a beacon of light for those around them. This inner light that they carry becomes contagious, radiates around them, and affects not only their family, but also their community, and sometimes even the entire society. A person who receives divine confirmation becomes a living example of the power of faith. His journey of transformation inspires others to awaken, recognize the signs of Allah in their own lives, and answer their own spiritual calling. The impact on family and community. When someone in the family or community receives divine confirmation, this light becomes a guide for loved ones. The family, often the first to witness this transformation, begins to see the change in the chosen person. They see her make wise, faith-filled decisions, demonstrate patience through trials, and develop a deeper connection with Allah. This inspires a re-evaluation of the family's own beliefs and actions. Members may then be pushed to deepen their own faith, or even to question the direction they are taking in their spiritual lives. This extends to the wider community. A person who experiences divine confirmation begins to inspire others to turn to Allah, seek His guidance, and wait for His signs in their own lives. The words, actions, and even behavior of a chosen person become a living form of teaching. They become a source of hope for those seeking their own spiritual direction. They remind everyone that Allah's plan is always in motion, even in moments of silence or uncertainty. The domino effect of faith. When the person chosen by Allah receives his confirmation, a spiritual domino effect begins. Every act of faith, every action guided by Allah, every word inspired by divine confirmation acts like a seed planted in the minds of others. It becomes an irresistible force that affects everyone who interacts with that person. It inspires multitudes of others to follow their own path of faith, to recognize the signs in their lives, and to prepare to receive their own divine confirmation when the time comes. This domino effect is not limited to the intimacy of personal relationships, but can also spread on a broader scale. People in a society, when they witness such a transformation, begin to ask questions about their own spiritual journey. They seek answers, signs, and begin to turn to Allah with more confidence, knowing that faith, even in its most subtle forms, can have a profound impact on their lives and their environment. A radical and lasting change. So when the chosen person receives divine confirmation, they become much more than just an individual. She becomes a spiritual catalyst, a beacon of light in the darkness, guiding those around her to the truth and wisdom of Allah. The spiritual transformation she experienced becomes the foundation of her ability to positively influence her environment, spread peace and faith, and encourage others to find their own path. This process is continuous because the divine light within her never ceases to light the way for others. It is essential to understand that the impact of this confirmation is not only individual, it is a collective light that spreads, and it plays a key role in the spiritual transformation of others, creating a wave of faith and hope, a spiritual domino effect that continues to grow. The path of faith does not only concern the individual, but the entire community which is touched by this divine confirmation. Together we explored the beauty of God's word and the profound impact it can have on a person's life. We have seen that the word of Allah is clear, that He guides those He chooses in a subtle but powerful way, and that divine confirmation is not long in coming for those who are ready to receive. When the chosen person receives this divine confirmation, they are no longer the same. She becomes a beacon of light, not only for herself, but also for her family, her community, and sometimes even for the entire world. The divine calling is a deep spiritual journey, sometimes difficult, but always transformative. Allah reminds us, through His signs and revelations, that we are never alone on this journey. At every step, He guides us and prepares us for our mission, and once confirmation is given, the impact of this divine light spreads around us. It becomes a source of inspiration to those around us and gives them, in turn, the courage to recognize the signs of Allah in their own lives. So think about your own life. Are you ready to recognize the confirmation when it comes? Have you been listening closely to Allah's whispers? Be patient, be attentive, because Allah is always guiding you. May Allah guide us all towards our goal and grant us the patience and faith to await His divine confirmation at the appropriate time. Amen.